About annotations, these are just metadata of your code. They're not really part of the code. They're meant to be either informational to provide informational data to the compiler that will help it detect errors, as we saw when we were discussing overriding, or to suppress warnings for maybe deprecated classes. There's a few examples on that. Or when you're working with software tools that you need to generate code, either in JSON, XML, and such, especially in cases of interacting with database entities, or to support runtime processing. So there are different types of annotations in Java, but this is the general format. As you will see, there's the @ sign, and then the word annotations, the name or the title of your annotation after the @ sign. So let's see more about that. The other type is predefined, type 1, it's predefined annotations. And these are the examples so far, but we'll look at more examples available. Override, suppress, and so on and so forth. So there are things like override do not have parentheses or any elements, but others like suppress warning have elements. For example, you can decide to suppress a value unchecked, or suppress a value deprecated, and so on and so forth. If you're just suppressing one, you can leave out this name value and just work with what you're suppressing in double quotations like this. So we'll look at more examples in a few in code. Okay, there are also multiple annotations. We have repeat annotations. This is type 2, or you can say type 3. I just left type 2 here because there's more to it. I'll walk you through it. But we have repeat annotations where you can work with multiple annotations, like in this example where we have entity and table before the class teacher. So they have more than one annotation allowed to a particular type. And the final one is type annotation. Type annotation could be applied to different types, classes, fields, and methods. So let's walk through examples of this to understand more about what I talked about. If you're wondering why annotations, it's because of such a use case. We have a class group project, and in this class group project, there are some details that will be shared in the entire group. Things like who authored the class, when was it authored, when is the revision, when was it modified, and so on and so forth. So instead of working with comments with such a group project, you can decide to create an annotation that would be used to make it better. For example, we have the annotation class details here, where you pass in all that you need to be included, things like author, date, current revision, and so on up to the reviewers. So this is kind of like an interface. In fact, when you're discussing interfaces, I told you it's a type of an interface, which it is, but it is, you start writing it with the @ sign, and then inside it you have these abstract methods, so to speak. You can put some default values in others. Now, there's a predefined annotation here implemented that you can use if you want it to be included in Java doc documentation, but it's an alternative, it's not a requirement. Then after that, you can then use it here when you're writing your project, so that when you're writing the class details, it will require you to input all of this as dictated in the interface. With the predefined annotations, there are several. I just need to type an @ all of these are predefined and for different purposes. We've seen documented. When you want your annotation to be documented and to be included in Java doc, we have override. We talked about overriding inheritance. This one helps the compiler catch real-time errors, because if you're overriding a function, then it's expecting some things to happen in a particular way. So it will use that to see if anything is amiss. There's another one, we have suppress warnings. So you need to suppress a warning specifically if something is deprecated, and you need to suppress a particular warning if it's deprecation, and so on and so forth. There's so many that are supported. I'll include the links in the description if you'd like to walk through the Java SE side of that. Then with repeatable, this is where you want to work with multiple annotations. So this is how you do it. First off, you'll have your interface, your annotation here. You'll create your annotation here, This is annotation schedule. So you have your day of the month with the default value, day of the week with the default value, and the hour with the default value. Then you need to create another container for those for the schedule annotation. So this container will be an annotation itself too. So we have schedules here, and you pass in an array of the same of the annotations here. Okay, and then you can now use it like this. So you can work with schedule in multiple times on the same type, like in the way we are doing it in this method. Another example is with the meals. So we have different meals. You create your meal annotation here, value in the main dish, and then you create its container, meal container with meals. Then you can use it as multiple annotations. That is how it's created, and that's how you use it. Now on the types and pluggable types, we have different examples here. Now this one I'll just attach a link because there's really no uncomplicated way of demonstrating it. So you can have, let me just walk us through because all these are things we've done before. You can have the new keyword here when you're instantiating an object, then the object itself that you're instantiating, and then between them you can include an annotation. That is one example of class instance creation. You can work with typecasting, like in this case when you want to ensure that it's a non-null string. You can work with implements clause, like after your you write the keyword implements before you put in the instance, you can include the annotation. For example, declaring that it is a read-only list. You can also work with it when you're throwing an error, like in this case, where after the word keyword throws, we'll talk about more about exceptions in a few in an upcoming session where you can include the annotation there. So for more information, you can look through this, but there's not much going on. Most of it will be in an external library, which if you're interested, you can have a look at or when it gets to it. But that is it on annotations. See you on the next one.